Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah, the blind the apostles of GMS. This is Amna Allah coming at you with a video. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter and the 4th verse. Because in the midst of all of this coronavirus thing, COVID-19, it's causing it's causing a big stir all across the United States. And a lot of people's livelihood is being That's what I'm looking for. A lot of people's livelihood is being affected by the COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So let's get right into that. See how that deals with prophecy. We've been speaking about this for years. This is nothing new to us here at GMS Great Millstone. So this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 4. And the doors, I'm gonna start from verse 3 as a matter of fact. Ecclesiastes 12 and 4. And the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Right, so the keepers of the house shall tremble is talking about the elites of this world. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, those are the keepers of the house. In other words, those are the keepers of the society of this world. They're the ones who control what goes on behind the scenes. So they're the keepers of the house. For example, a person that, if I look at the word keeper real quick, got the word keeper. The word there is shamar, see? Which means to watch or watcher. To keep guard, observe, give heed, to have charge of, to keep guard, keep watch, and ward, protect, save life, watch or watchman. So the word right there, to keep, means to watch. Okay? So the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, or the watchers of the house shall tremble. Let's go to the word house. The word there is bayath. House, dwelling, habitation. That's basically the point. It says household, family of descendants. Descendants as organized body. So that word there. So now you understand that. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, or the day when the watchers of the house shall tremble. A place that you live, that's a house. But in this particular instance, it's not talking about an actual house, an actual physical house that this person is keeping. It's talking about a government. Because though a government is not an actual house, it's a dwelling place. It's a place where you dwell. It's a society. Okay? That's why it says, the keepers of the house shall tremble. So when the watchers of this house shall tremble, or when the watchers of this dwelling place shall tremble, or when the watchers of this nation shall tremble. In other words, who's the one that's watching over this house? Who's the one that's watching over this government? Who's the one that's controlling things behind the scenes? It's the elites. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the whole thing, the Illuminati, in other words. Which the Illuminati consists of the CFR, which is the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the UN, the WHO, which is WHO, World Health Organization, the WTO, World Trade Organization. These are all what one would call the Illuminati, and they're the keepers of the house. They're the watchers of the society, the watchers of this world, the watchers of this dwelling place, because that's the top. Those are the top organizations on the planet. Those are organizations that wield the most power, and they're the ones that's controlling things behind the scenes. But why are the keepers of the house trembling? They're the ones that have the power, and they're the ones behind the scenes. Why are they trembling? The reason why they're trembling is because, according to the scriptures, everything that's going on now is signs of the coming of the Lord. When you go to Matthew 24th chapter, what did the Lord say? He says, there's going to be pestilences in diverse places. So this is a sign. This is a sign of the coming of the Lord. Of the Lord Yahweh Shah, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. Therefore, the reason why the keepers of the house are trembling, because these signs are signs showing that it is the end of their kingdom, and it is the beginning of the coming of the Lord's kingdom. That's why the scripture says what? The disciples asked the Lord in Matthew 24th chapter, he said what? They said, what shall be the signs that are coming in the end of the world? And the Lord said, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places, and wars and rumors of war. And that's what we're going through right now. Now, let me get that. This is the book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. I'm going to go right to the point. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? So the disciples asking the Lord, what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? So the signs of the Lord's coming and the end of the world are synonymous with one another. They go hand in hand. They work in tandem. They work together. The coming of the Lord is the end of the world. The end of the world is the coming of the Lord. But at the end of the world is in the plan. At the end of this world, Esau's world, which Esau, according to the Bible, is where white people actually descend from. You go right to the point, because due to the interest of time, it says Matthew 24:6, and you shall hear. In fact, go right to the point. Matthew 24 and 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. See, pestilences. That's the main point I wanted to get at. This whole coronavirus thing. Even though no one is dying from it from a great massive scale, it's not like it has a 50% kill rate. Still in all, it's still something that's causing a big stir. You know, there's still deaths occurring. Whether one may say whether the coronavirus exists or not, the fact of the matter is, if there is something out there that is killing people. Okay? And this is just the beginning of sorrows. So the keepers of the house are trembling because they know that these are signs of the coming of the Lord. And the signs of his coming is the signs of their end. So they're trembling. The Rothschilds, the elites, they're trembling. That's why they're going to start moving quick with their plans for a one world government. And the strong men shall bow themselves. Right, the strong men shall bow themselves. And that's the word bow. Iwath. To be bent, be crooked, bend, make crooked, pervert. To make crooked, falsify, pervert, subvert, to bend, make crooked, thing bent, to bend oneself. Turn upside down. To make crooked. To bend, curve, pervert. Inflected. Okay. So it says to be bent, be crooked, bend, make crooked, pervert. Falsify and subvert. You got the word subvert. What does it mean, subvert? To overturn, to overthrow to overturn or overthrow from the foundation. To pervert or corrupt by an undermining of morals, allegiance, or faith. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to form that one world government. Okay? So the strong men shall bow themselves. They're going to pervert by ways of morals, falsify, subvert. And it said also to bend or to make crooked. And that's what they're doing. Okay? This is why they're pushing, this is why in the media, what are they doing? What are they falsifying? An example of how they're falsifying is what? They're selling fear. It's called fear mongering. They're making it seem as though the coronavirus is killing more people than what it actually is. Alright? So it says that the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble and the strong men shall bow themselves. But why are they bowing themselves? We went to that word bow themselves, and the word Hebrew word is iwath, which means to be bent, to be crooked, to falsify, to subvert or pervert. Why are they subverting? Why are they perverting? Why are they falsifying? Why are they crooked? Because you know that the time is coming to an end. So they're trying to speed everything up. But ultimately, the reason why they're doing it is because they're in fear. That's why it says what? The keepers of the house shall tremble. They're trembling. Therefore they're trembling. Being that they're trembling, they're bowing themselves, or they're being made crooked or bent. In other words, they're being made weak. No support. That's the reason why you look at that word bow themselves, it means to be crooked or to be bent or to falsify or subvert or pervert, because they're in fear right now. They're trembling. They're trembling. They got no support because they see that even though they're getting closer to the New World Order, the closer they get to the New World Order, the closer they are to the second coming of the Lord. And the closer we are to the second coming of the Lord is the closer we are to their end. Alright? So the strong men are bowing themselves, meaning subvert, pervert, falsify. But they're doing these things ultimately because they're trembling, because they're in fear. You know that this is the end of their society. So they're being made, so they're bowing themselves because why? Like their knees are weak, their legs are trembling, they're losing their foundation. And the grinders cease because they are few. And that goes into work. The grinder, because in the ancient world, people were what? They would grind mill. They would grind grain to make flour. They would use a millstone, they would grind grain to make flour. That would be considered work. Well, not be considered work, that is work. So the grinders is grinding the season because they are few, meaning what? The grinding season because they are few because a lot of people are out of work now. There's a lot of unemployment due to this coronavirus thing. Bear with me 1 second. I'll be right back. Now I just saw a sign that said, walking past this laundromat, it said on March 30th, the store will be closed temporarily due to the coronavirus. Now this is a Chinese owned or Moab owned laundromat, but they was open this whole time. See? So you know, there you go. It says in the grind brief from top again, and the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. The keepers of the house, I'm talking about the so-called Illuminati, the illuminated ones. Keepers meaning watch. House is a dwelling place. So this country, this society, they're the watchers of this house, the watchers of this dwelling place. Okay? The CFR, the Council for Foreign Relations, the WHO World Health Organization, the WHO, World Trade Organization, the Trilateral Commission, they're all keepers of the house. They're all a part of that New World Order agenda. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, I forgot to mention them earlier. The keepers of the house shall tremble. They're going to tremble. Why? Because you know that the time is coming to an end. And the strong men shall bow themselves. So guess what? They eventually going to start bowing themselves. The word bow, you look it up, it means to be crooked, to be bent, to falsify, to subvert or pervert. But the reason why they're doing those things is because they're trembling. Why are they trembling? Because they know that the society is coming to an end. So they're falsifying certain things, but they're using fear mongering in the media. They're subverting morals and so on and so forth. Perverting morals and doing all other types of things out there. That's the reason why you're seeing homosexuals being given rights, being allowed to marry and adopt children. So this is the end of their society. The closer they are to completing the agenda, the closer we are to the Lord coming back. Quick scripture real quick. Job 20:23. When he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fear of his wrath upon him. So when he's about to fill his belly, meaning when he's about to complete his New World Order, which they're doing all of these things to fulfill the New World Order agenda. This whole COVID-19 coronavirus thing is just their way of enforcing martial law, which is the time of Jacob's trouble, the time that's going to be worse than any time on planet Earth. When he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fear of his wrath upon him. The fear of the Most High's wrath is thermonuclear destruction. That's ultimately how America, which is Babylon the Great, going to be destroyed. By thermonuclear destruction in the coming Third World War. And it says, and shall rain it upon him while he's eating. He's going to rain it upon him while he's eating. So when he's about to fill his belly, meaning when he's about to fill his New Order agenda, the Most High is going to what? Cast the fear of his wrath upon him. I mean, he's going to bring thermonuclear destruction. And also it says he shall rain it upon him while he's eating. Meaning while he's eating, while he's in the midst of fulfilling his New World Order agenda. When he's established martial law, got people taking an RFID chip, put people in concentration camps. When the World War III is happening. When he's about to form his New World Order or his one world government. While all of this is going on, the Most High is going to cast the fear of his wrath upon him, which is thermonuclear destruction. Okay? So he's about to fill his belly, meaning he's about to fulfill his New World Order agenda. The Most High is going to rain thermonuclear destruction upon him. Because this is all going to be happening during the midst of the Third World War. He's going to rain it upon while he's eating, meaning while he's in the process of completing his agenda, his New World Order agenda. Okay? I could continue there, but I'll do that in another show. Let me go back, do it the interest of time. Okay. And it says, in the day when the keepers of the house, Ecclesiastes 12:3, and the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinding cease because they are few. Meaning a lot of us will be like people out of the road. Let's get something on that real quick. This is from FoxBusiness.com, March 27, 2020. This is 2 days ago. No, today's the 28th. So this is yesterday. Applying for unemployment because of coronavirus. Here's how in all 50 states. Unemployment benefits for coronavirus-related layoffs have increased significantly. It says U.S. unemployment claims soar as coronavirus slams the economy. And we've been teaching this for years. Our elders have been teaching this since the 80s. Last week, 80s and early 90s. Last week's jobless came. And you don't hear nobody else on the planet going into the scriptures the way the Israelites do. Specifically GMS, Great Millstone. Beginning with our apostles and elders. Last week, jobless claims hit a record-breaking 3.28 million. That's about 10%, 1% of the United States. Fox Business's Lawrence Simonetti with more. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm just going to jump around. The coronavirus has hit the U.S. economy hard, and many companies and businesses have had to lay off employees as they try to stay afloat. The layoffs have led millions of Americans to apply for unemployment in record numbers. Last week, 3.28 million Americans applied for unemployment, according to the Labor Department's weekly report. I read a little bit slower. Due to the interest of time. I'm about to break out and do something. The previous record for jobless claims was just 695,000 in 1982. So they increased by about five. That increased by about 5 times the amount. Because if you're around 695,000 and 700,000, that's what? 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, which would be 3.5 million. So it's about 5 times the amount as it was in 1982. On Friday, Congress and President Trump enacted a $2 trillion bill, which included relief for distressed companies, $1,200 checks to individuals, money for hospitals, financial assistance for small businesses, and major expansion of unemployment benefits. Which that's just the United States government getting people ready to collect what? Rations, getting the people comfortable with accepting rations from the government. Okay? The Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security (CARES) Act will make it easier for people who have lost a job because of the coronavirus to qualify for benefits, according to AARP. The nonprofit also reported that workers who have been furloughed without pay will also be eligible for benefits. Okay? U.S. unemployment claims shatter record as coronavirus hammers economy. So that's good there. So we know the scripture says the sound of the grind is low. See that? Sound of the grind has ceased, meaning when the work stops. You see, now that's the spirit. As I just paused the video to bring you back to the blue letter, Jake just walked past Toggle on her phone saying they got people waiting weeks and weeks and weeks for a check. We didn't ever just read about a $1,200 check, and he said he's been out of work for 3 weeks. He's on the phone talking to someone. He says I've been out of work for 3 weeks, and I can't tell you how much money I spent, and I haven't been spending money. In other words, he's been spending an exponential, meaning a great amount. He's been spending an exponential amount of money, a great amount of money, and he hasn't even been spending money. Meaning he hasn't even been spending his money riotously. He hasn't spending it in a reckless manner, in a prodigal manner. He hasn't been spending it excessively. So being out of work for 3 weeks and you're not even spending money, a lot of money, and you're still spending a lot of money. In other words, you aren't spending your money in a reckless manner, but you're still spending a lot. A lot of people are suffering from that. Because, most people live check by check. Go back, Ecclesiastes 12:3. It says, and the grinders cease because they are few. And those that look out of the windows be darkened, right? Those that look out of the windows be darkened. Meaning those that look out for a future. The future be darkened. Like when a person says, oh, you have a bright future, meaning they have a good future. But if a person look out the windows is darkened, meaning they can't see anything. So the future isn't bright for them. The future is what? Bleak. The future is gloomy. And that's what America is heading to, a gloomy future. It's a gloomy present leading to an even more gloomy future. Okay? So with that, I'm going to close. I'm going to hit you with a part 2, Lil Will. Dealing with the next verse. I'm going to say, oh, praise to how about Shina Shah, that belongs to the Apostle GMS. And hope you brothers learn something. Shalom.